Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing Rand McNally's TND Tablet 1050, the 10-inch truck-specific GPS unit. There's a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Opening it up, you get the unit right away, and first thing you notice is obviously the size. This thing is ginormous. Has a Gorilla screen and this edge protector, you can see, that is removable. And since we're right here, I have a tape measure here just so we can see how ginormous this thing is. We're right at 12 inches. I don't know if you can see that or not. 12 inches from corner to corner, and about 10.5 inches side to side, and right around 7 inches top to bottom. Now this is easily removable, and I already went through and measured everything. It takes off about 1/2 inch, I think. So from corner to corner, you're looking at about 11.5 inches side to side, and 9 3/4, just shy of it, and about 6 1/4 top to bottom. All right. On the top here, this is how the unit sits. On the top here, you're going to have your power button, home button, and volume rocker. On the side, you have a USB-C, HDMI, headphones, micro SD, and a reset button. Nothing on the bottom. I think those are all the speakers. Nothing on the left side. Looking on the back here, it is a magnetic mount. There are the pins to charge it and the magnets. It is a nice solid rubber feel. It's got a good hefty feel to it. There's the antenna and the camera. This does have a integrated dash cam with it, although I would never buy that just for this, or just for that feature. So let's dig on down into the box here. You have your user manual. Nice long charging cord. You have 3 different mounts. Here is the magnetic backing, where that plugs into the DC in. Then you have a USB to save the videos, and an aux out. So plugging that into there. That gets right on to the back of there. And it is pretty sturdy. You know, you can see I can shake it around a little bit and it's not going to come off. So bouncing around on these nice smooth United States roads, it's been pretty solid. I have about 10,000 miles under my belt using this thing. So here will be a dash mount that you can connect this to. Those 3 little prong areas there, they just snap onto that, and then that suctions to your dash, or adheres to your dash. Comes with a USB cord, and the window mount, suction mount. so that, come on, that adjusts that way. Then you tighten it down, and then this loosens. This thing again attaches like that, and then this moves a decent amount, not a whole lot, but then once you get it to your position, then you just tighten that down, and then it's really sturdy. Okay. One of the negatives I found with this is just the angle with the specific truck I'm in. It wasn't at the ideal angle I would want it, just because I had it this way and I couldn't open this in order to suction it to the windshield at the angle I wanted, so I had to manipulate it to a point where it wasn't ideal. And then a little ball mount with 3 screw holes if you wanted to drill into your dash. All right, so that's what's in the box. Let's go ahead and jump on into the unit. All right, so here we are in the driver's seat of my Western Star, 2020 Western Star. Just for a quick size comparison, there's my view out the windshield, and here's my current daily use GPS, truck specific GPS. It's a Garmin 7-inch. So let's take that and put this right next to it. Look at how much bigger that is, and just look at how much more of the windshield it takes up. You know, now it's above the hood line about that much. And right here is where I had it mounted, right where that was. So, I mean, obviously you can still see the mirrors. It just takes up a little bit more over the edge of the hood there. So if you're the type of person that likes it up in the top corner, there you go. That's what it's going to look like. Maybe over here, maybe down here in the corner. I've seen some guys have it, but then obviously you're going to be blocking that nose mirror if you have one. All right, so I went ahead and powered it on. It takes a few seconds to do that, so I did that off camera, and also drew my shade a little bit so there wouldn't be any, or to minimize the reflection on the screen here. So when you first turn it on, this is what you see. Pretty typical of the Rand McNally platform. Before we get to navigation, let's go through all this other stuff. There's backup, calculator, calendar, camera. Let's go ahead and turn that on. You can see you can use it to take pictures or video, and then it saves to the internal hard drive or that SD card I showed you earlier. So it could come in handy if you don't have your cell phone and you're in an accident and you need a phone to take pictures of the accident or what have you. And you also have a panoramic view if you need to. Let's turn that off. And then, let's see. Here, and you can have it record the GPS location and different settings. I'm not sure why those are grayed out, but I can't do anything with those. But zero shutter delay, face detection, auto scene detection, self timer, capture number, picture size, preview size. That's for the camera, and then that's for the video. Okay, EIS is electronic image stabilization. Microphone, do you want that to be recording stuff or not. And then video quality of 1080p, 720p, and 480. All right, let's hit the home button, go home. Let's go back into here, see what else we got. We got clock, we got contacts if you want to put customers' names in or whoever. Driver Connect if you want the Rand McNally app and to connect it to your phone. I did not have that. You can export data to a CSV file if you need to send it to anybody. Manage your files, internet via Firefox. Here's where your pictures would be saved. Gallery. You can import data if you need to. Here's your atlas. You do need a internet connection, as you can see. Well, you shouldn't. Oh, I know it's there is an update that is pending, and I haven't been able to update it. That might be why. But usually you can access the all of this, the map and the atlas, without an internet connection. So you can zoom in and look at everything you can see in an atlas, you can see on here. If you want to put music on here, you can. If you want to take any notes, I have no idea what Rand VL is. You can search the tablet. And just typical settings, Bluetooth, network connection. You can see all your apps, your battery, change of display, storage, as you can see, 15.5 gigs without, I haven't stored anything on here. That's pretty much how it comes out of the box. There's all that. Swipe left, you can record sound, and then there's the setup if you want to wipe it all and then start over. Trip maker. If you're somebody who does the same route over and over and over again, or pretty often, you can load in a specific trip, different routes, or the same route, and name it. That way you can come back and just start it, and it'll auto-populate all the stops. That's really helpful with the current company I work for. I have a couple routes that have 5 and 6 stops, so that saves a lot of time with not having to enter in all 5, 6 addresses every time. And unit converter, I'm not sure what this is. Okay, let's go back. All right, let's go down here, start with truck tools. If you're an owner-operator, you can keep track of all the statuses and mileages and fuel costs and wear and all that stuff, and it'll tell you your average speed. You can see everything there, and that just takes you to the truck, how you want it set up. The hazmat, if you carry hazmat. Now I do carry hazmat with this current company, and one thing I do not like about this setup is you can only select one class. It will not allow you to select multiple classes. And a lot of times I'm carrying flammable liquids and corrosive, so class 3 and class 8. Well, some roads will only ban certain hazmat, so it's not giving me the 100% accurate routing. So you just got to be aware of that. Change the empty weight, loaded weight, because before every trip it'll ask you if you're loaded or empty, and that'll obviously change your routing based on weight limit or weight restricted roads. Height, width, trailers, number of axles. General, you can change the language, units, metric, standard. I always keep my clock in the 24-hour format. You can go back to 12 hour if you like it. You can set up what time zone your home terminal is set at. And you can also use this for just a regular car or bus, but not many people are going to be spending $700-800 on a car specific GPS. So and that feature that asks you if you're loaded or unloaded before each trip, you can disable that if you need to or want to. And how is it going to track your mileage? I don't have any custom point of set up. You can turn the touch sound on, off, all that fun stuff. Go to system settings, which I was at a little bit earlier, and then look for updates, give you a tutorial and all that legal jazz. Now, how do you want it to route you? Do you want traffic on? If you do, you do need an internet connection. I hooked it up to my phone's hotspot, which I didn't care for, only because I use my hotspot to watch TV at night. So when it's pulling data for the traffic, it's obviously using that hotspot up, and I'd rather use my hotspot data for my TV shows and stuff instead of having it draw for traffic. Even though it's probably very little, it's still the principle behind it, because my Garmin connects to an app that's on my phone, which uses my phone's regular data, and that's unlimited. So you can set it for automatic recalculating. So if you miss a turn, do you want it to automatically recalculate and get you back on track, or do you want it to prompt you and then you have to tell it to recalculate? You can change your preferred route, shortest route or fastest. If for some reason you find that the calculation of the GPS tends to be slower or faster, you can increase or decrease the time that it gives you, the ETA that it gives you to your destination. You can customize when it tells you about the first turn, second turn, or the first prompt, second prompt, third prompt of each of the notifications. You can customize that to how far before you want to see different junctions, turns. It'll pop up with a window. If you want that at 1 mile, 2 mile, 5 mile, 10 mile, whatever, you can change it there. Route avoids, if you want to avoid specific things. And then permanent voids, you can, it's a little bit too much to go into right now on how to add this to it. That would be a completely separate video in itself, because it's a little bit of a process, but it can be done. How do you want your map displayed? You want it to automatically change from a dark background to a light background, or do you want to do it stay on day, stay on night? I always have it automatic. You can change your route color. You can change how the map is viewed. Do you want your direction that you're heading always facing up? Do you want north to be always up, or do you want it to be fluid and change in the 3D view? I always keep it in the 3D view. Map auto zoom, do you want it to zoom in the closer you get to a turn and then zoom out when you have a long way on one road? Or do you want it to stay at a certain scale? I always have it auto. Lane guidance. This is supposed to tell you which lane to be in coming up to exits, or if there's going to be like a right exit but you need to be in a left lane. It's supposed to be able to tell you that, but Garmin does it a whole lot better than Rand McNally does, to be honest. I found a lot of times this one does not tell you the specific lane to be in, which can be a little frustrating. You can change what point of interest icons are displayed on the map. If you don't want any, you can just, or you want them all, you want none, you can change all that. Truck specific point of interest icons, you want the truck parking, you want loves, flying J, all that stuff. It'll be, when you're zoomed at a certain point, it'll show you a loves heart, it'll show you the flying J symbol, the pilot symbol, the TA, Petro, Walmart. It'll show you the little symbol of where it's at, and I'll show you that when we get to the map. Now if you have addresses saved into the address book, you can have it show those saved locations. You can change the type of the truck here to a bus, car, arrow. I always kept it with on that. You can change the color to these limited colors here. If you want the bus, but I always obviously had it on the truck. Warnings. Do you want it to beep and tell you about different warnings? Do you want the visual only where it just pops up and tells you, or do you want the audio only? I always had both. And then after it gives you a warning, it'll keep that little pop-up on there for either 2, 10, or 30 seconds, or it'll never pop up. And then here you can change the curve warnings. You can customize that. Steep hill, steep upgrade, steep downgrade, engine brake, no engine brake zone, narrow roads, construction area, speed limit, amount over posted speed limit. So if you want the speed limit icon on the map to turn red at 3 miles an hour over this posted speed limit, you can change that here. Over 5 miles an hour, or I have it at 7 miles an hour. The reason I have it at 7 is typically I'll cruise at 5 miles an hour over and put it on cruise, but I want it to warn me if I'm going down a little bit of hill and I don't notice it, it'll say speed warning, and it'll keep saying speed warning if you hover right around that 7 mile an hour, and then I know when to I need to slow down a little bit. Speed limit change, way stations, state province border. I do like that the Rand McNally, it will announce which state you're going into. I've been doing this for 4 years, almost 500,000 miles. I know what state I'm going into, but it's still nice to be able to know exactly when you cross into that border. I know there are signs on the road, but that's just something that the Garmin doesn't do. It has a little state line banner that it'll say, but it doesn't verbally say you're crossing into Georgia. I like that feature of Rand McNally. Time zone, it'll also announce when you cross into a different time zone, which is a huge advantage over Garmin. Garmin, again, does not do that. Garmin, get your stuff together. This is something I do not like about them that I do like about Rand McNally. Because it's important if you're changing time zones and you have deliveries that are just over the central time zone or whatever, and you're trying to plan out, and it's nice to be able to see that and know that. Toll booth, and then if you want to set maintenance intervals and all that stuff. All right, let's go back. Okay, quick planner, that can be that trip planner as well. You can email Rand McNally directly. Again, export, import data. Atlas. You can get different apps, download them on here. I already showed you the camera, and the gallery is just the same thing as in the settings. This is if you have the Rand McNally ELD connected to your truck. You also have the Driver Connect app where you can do all your ELD stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the navigation screen. So this is what it looks like at the start of the navigation. I do much prefer like Rand McNally's over the Garmin again because of the amount of information that it gives you. So just off the bat here, without any navigation, here's the speed limit of the speed you're going, the speed limit. Here's the road that you're on. And if you tap on this bar here, it'll change from that to the nearest or the next intersection. And then also the county, the town, and the state that you're in. Here's the current time. You can change that to the elevation or keep it to the time. And here's a quick link to all those settings that we just went through. And then you can, one level of cleaning up the screen or get rid of almost everything. All right, so here's zoom in, zoom out. And the processor on this thing is way better than Garmin or any other. This is the fastest processor of any GPS I've seen and experienced. So kudos for Rand McNally on that. No skipping, no freezing, so that's good. If you have your hotspot on and connected to it, that's where you would go to get the weather and the traffic. And then here you can change from 3D to north all the time, or you're heading up all the time. Then here's your battery icon. All right, so let's jump into where to go. So that's a screen there. You can sort it all by these different categories here. So let's go to travel centers, and it'll automatically populate all the nearest truck stops around you. And then there are those icons I was talking about earlier: Flying J, Love's, TA, and that's just a regular gas station. And what's cool is you can tap on these and it'll pull up all the information that it has on it, phone numbers, all that stuff, and it'll tell you approximately how far away it is. And if you wanted to bookmark it and save it, you can hit that, and then you can rename it whatever you want. You can add notes to it and then save it. So that's pretty neat. So let's discard that because I don't want to change the name of that. And then same thing with just general parking. So on top of the truck stops, it'll pull like rest areas here. This brown, that's rest area. Walmart. Now again, these aren't always accurate, and not all, actually very few Walmarts will allow trucks to park overnight. So this isn't saying that this specific Walmart will allow you to park there. You still have to do your due diligence and either call them, or when you get there, go in and talk to a manager and get the clearance that you can park there overnight. But that's just showing you that a Walmart is there. Okay. So, rest area. All right. So let's back out of there. Truck services. If you need repairs or whatever, that's all that. If you need to scale a load, there it'll pull up all the cat scales that are near you. That's really handy. And then there it'll pull up all the way stations. I don't know why it's snapped to that specific one. So you can see a way station there, way stations up there, over there by the Indiana-Ohio border. So it's pretty neat. And then you can do the same thing with all these. I'm not going to go through all these. It's the same idea. But say, okay, it's guided search. So say you have a specific address. You go into guided search, new location, address. You type in the city that it's in. Let's, just for giggles, let's say Pittsburgh Street, Main Street. Let's see if there's a 123 Main Street, and it'll bring up the closest address to that. Roughly 140 miles. It'll show you the area around it. If you want to see a little bit more, just take 2 fingers, pinch in just like a cell phone, and you can see where that is in relation to where you're at. Now if you want that address, you can just hit this go, and then there you can see what it says here. So let's say we're loaded. Alright, there's going to show you a quick preview of the route it's going to have you take. And say you want to see if there are any alternate routes. It'll pull that up real quick, and then the gray route will be this bottom one. So if you want to take that one, you can see it just switches back and forth. Okay, so let's take that one. Now say if you have a different location that you want to add. So let's go to here, add new location, then you have all those options again. You can either go to some place you've been, go through your history and pick it, go to another address. If you want to go to a city center, a specific intersection, coordinates. If you want to go to a specific point of interest around your truck, which is going to populate the closest to your truck, or a city center, say Washington, PA. Let's say Washington, PA, and then you can either pick from this list, or I always went to, like if I'm looking for a specific truck stop, I'll go to quick stops. Then you can filter the search this way. So let's see if there are any loves around Washington, PA. And then there you go. So there's that loves. I can add that. That's in Slippery Rock. So loaded. Okay, so now it's taking me to there. All right. So let's add a location. Point of interest. Oh, hold on. So let's see. History. Then let's go to Bridgeville first, and then to the loves. But then say I have this loaded, and I'm for whatever reason I want to flip-flop that. Instead of Xing out and then redoing it all, you can just go up here and hit this, go reorder, then you can drag them, then it'll repopulate and recalculate. And then from there, if you like that selection, just hit navigate.
Speed limit reduced ahead.
And there you go. And then there's that notification that'll go away after 10 seconds. All right, then there's that. You want to zoom out and look at it, you can see it that way. You can do that, or if you want to see an overview, go up here to this button. It pulls up this menu. Let's go to route overview. You can see the turn by turn. You can see just the highways, or what I used a lot, I looked at the summary a lot. It'll tell you the total time for the entire trip, the total distance for the entire trip. It'll also break it down. This isn't always accurate, so you gotta take this with a grain of salt. It's not always accurate. So it's 157 to the first stop. Then from the first stop to the second stop is 56 miles for a total of 213. And then obviously you can see the picture. All right, X out of that. And another thing I really like about Rand McNally over the Garmin is this right here. There's always the time and the time zone. This is another thing that Garmin needs to put on their units. I mean, this is huge, because when you're going from time zone to time zone and you cross over and you forget when you're in Illinois and it's central and whatever, this will tell you central time zone, eastern time zone, mountain, west coast, whatever. It's just really nice. The amount of miles left on the trip, you can change this from ETA to the first stop, remaining time to the first stop, or if you want to know the entire trip, how long it's going to take you to complete both the first stop and get to that Loves, change that to remaining time for the entire trip, and there you go. Or an ETA to that Loves. All right, so it's pretty versatile. And I think one last thing here is this button on the bottom left. Pull that up, it'll give you just a ton of information. So let's just start up here in the top left. That's going to be our next turn, and this little bar, you can see the blue part and the gray part, that will fill up, and when you're getting really close to your next turn, it'll be all the way to the end of that bar. And then you can see here another bar, 157 miles. You know, as you get closer to that 157 miles, that'll get filled up with blue. Here's the date and the day, sunrise, sunset elevation. This is another thing that Garmin does not have that Rand McNally has, and I love this as well. It tells you the road you're on, all this information, whereas Garmin only tells you the coordinates. So I love being able to know what town and all that stuff I'm at. Nearest cross street, that's something else that Garmin doesn't do. And if you can have this up as you're going down the road, and you can see the speed limit, your current speed, the direction you're traveling, the mile marker you're at, ETA, all that stuff. And then there are 3 different trip modes, not trip modes, but like your car has trip A, trip B. This has trip 1, trip 2, trip 3. Trip 1 is your current trip. Trip 2 would be, you can set it to auto reset for different lengths of time, every 8 hours or every 14 hours, whatever. And then the third is for the life of the unit, however long you've had it. So you can see I've gone 11,921, a little bit more than the 10,000 I thought I had, but those are all my miles that I put on this thing. So all right, so say you're done, or you don't want this, or your dispatcher or whoever tells you that you're not going to the same place anymore and you just want to clear out everything. You just, again, come up here and hit stop navigation. Before we do that, let me show you this. exits, the upcoming exits. So as you're going down the road, you can pull up what is at each exit. I don't find this very useful, because especially if you're trying to find out exactly what's at that exit, you're gonna have to be taking your eyes off the road, number one, to see what all these are, and to tap on it, and then it'll tell you the list of them, list of everything. But say you want to go to Denny's, it's a lot of tapping to take your eyes off the road. All right, so again, let's say we're going down the road and we're coming up on our 8 hours. We need to take a 30-minute break. We want to stop at the next, whatever, Love's truck stop. So how do we do that? Obviously we're at a Love's right now, but further down the road. So let's tap on that, add a stop. I always go to guided search, point of interest, along my route, quick stops, Loves, and it'll tell you all the Loves that are available along your route. It's a lot of taps. I think I counted 7. Or you could do it that way. If you just wanted to pull up all the different Loves, Flying J, Pilot, you can just do travel centers, and then you have to scroll down, get through all of them. But if you wanted to go to a specific one, then you got to add all those extra steps. And you can also detour around the route, and then here's where you do that detour permanently or whatever. So you want to avoid that road, you can do that. Hit done. You can permanently avoid or just detour around that specific road. And if you permanently avoid, then it'll ask you to name it, and then it'll always avoid that little area. But I don't want to do that, so. And then say you had already gone through those 7 steps and set a Loves as your next stop, but now you don't want to go there and you just want to skip it. So you can just hit this button here, skip to next stop. I'm still loaded.
Right curve ahead. Speed limit reduced ahead.
And then it'll go on to the next stop. So say we want to end it, stop navigation, it'll clear everything out and go to that home screen. All right, so in conclusion, do I recommend the Rand McNally 1050? Yes and no. Number one, as I said before, it is ginormous. I think it's a little bit too big, to be honest. I think 8-inch would probably be the max I would want to go, just for the real estate in the windshield. It is nice to be able to have that big display and see everything, but it is taking up a little bit more than I would like on the windshield. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, it does go from landscape to vertical, which is just again, that's a weird orientation to be in the windshield. So you do have that option if you would want to do it. Now the retail price of this thing is $6.99 at the Loves that I've seen. Every once in a while there'll be some discounts, maybe $50 here or something like that or whatever. I would personally not pay $700, obviously plus tax, for this unit. I wouldn't. Now Rand McNally as a software, I do like that. The routing could be better. There were a few times that it routed me. If I wasn't on top of it and I was just blindly following this thing, it could have put me in a pretty squirrely position. Specific example, a few days ago, going in to a service area, there was an exit right there for the service area that would go back across the highway and then into the service area. So both directions, both north and south, went into this one rest area, the service plaza. This thing wanted me to go past that off-ramp onto a little service road, go back behind the service plaza, and come in from the south on this small road. And I'm looking at it on Google Maps, and it comes into a gated side of the service plaza. So if that gate would have been closed and I would have blindly followed that road, there was nowhere to turn around. I would have had to have backed down this curvy road, and it would have been a mess. So had I not been on top of it and paying attention to, you know, the road signs and all that stuff, which is you're supposed to do, obviously, but just little things like that. Sometimes it'll have you get off an exit and then get right back on for no reason. It's squirrely sometimes. Now Garmin isn't perfect, but it's better, I think, than the Rand McNally. So if Rand McNally, Garmin, Google, Waze, all those people would come together and make a truck specific app, it could be awesome, but that's never going to happen. So that's it. If you have any questions, comment below. I'll do my best to try to answer them. But thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Take care.